Hello everyone, welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. We're live for you in our Abuja studio in the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Seyi Makinde. Let's begin by telling you that the President Muhammadu Buhari has met with the security chiefs today at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, and part of the deliberations was the successful conduct of the Anambra governorship election. President Muhammadu Buhari directed the armed forces and law enforcement agencies to ensure that no group or individual is allowed to stimulate anarchy and chaos in Anambra State, even if it requires dominating the state ahead of the November 6 elections. The National Security Advisor, Babangana Mungono, disclosed this after a security meeting presided over by the President at the State House today. The implications of sabotage by non-state actors on future elections in the country, according to the NSA, would set a dangerous precedent for future elections in the country.
People have a right to vote. They have a right to select their leader, and no group or individual will be allowed to stimulate anarchy and chaos leading to murderous activities. The President has made it very, very clear that the armed forces, security agencies, and law enforcement agencies must make sure that the elections take place. If it means overwhelming the entire environment with the presence of security agencies, there are so many implications for elections to be sabotaged by non-state actors. In the first place, we're in a democracy. Secondly, it is important to note that if these non-state actors should succeed in destroying the potentials for orderly elections, then it is natural that other parts of the country will also want to copy this situation. Nigerians, being what they are, also need to understand that if these non-state actors should go out on a limb and extend the frontiers of violence and begin to kill people, there is a possibility that reprisal attacks can take place in other parts of the country, which is what we do not want to happen. So we're working with the community leaders, with the governors and everybody to ensure that they bring their people, restrain them on the leash.
We are starting right away so that to ensure, to give people confidence that they are well protected from these IPOB people. People are not coming out because of the threats by IPOB. And as long as we try to dominate the area, IPOB will have no place to maneuver, and we will take charge of the place to ensure that there is peace, there is tranquility in the area to allow for free and fair elections.
The minister and the NSA speaking about security situation ahead of the November 6 governorship election in Anambra State. We'll get talking. Our guest is Governor Seyi Makinde, but before we get talking to him, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has pleaded not guilty to the 7-count charge preferred against him by the federal government after it was read to him in open court. Nnamdi Kanu is also challenging the court's jurisdiction to hear the suit on the grounds that the alleged offences were committed in the United Kingdom and not Nigeria. The chairman and chief executive officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, has warned that if there is evidence of any politician found culpable in the drug business, such a person will not be spared.
Where there are DHL and all those, where there are a lot of seizures. A lot of seizures. If you've been looking at the social media, you'll see people send slippers and they put it inside slippers. You saw the other Virgin Mary, drugs inside. They are shameless. They're not afraid. They do the palm oil, put drugs inside, and ship them through these companies. And we're there. were there in all these companies. And you may have seen the cookies, as they use the internet, as you said, to deliver. The NDLA is also on the dark web, so we are monitoring these things. Otherwise, how do we know some of these people and arrest them selling cookies and biscuits and other things with drugs inside? So we are on it.
And the Acting Director General of the Nigeria Directorate of Employment is assuring unemployed youths across the country of his determination to reel out schemes and programs that will get the youth out of the poverty line and make them self-employed through skills acquisition. According to the Acting DG, the move is part of efforts to get 100 million Nigerians out of poverty as directed by the President.
We hope and pledge that we will continue to do what has earned us this position for the benefit of unemployed Nigerians in general.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's also tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and members of the civil society organizations are asking for quick harmonization of the 2021 Electoral Act Amendment Bill and transmitting the same for presidential assent before the end of the year. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, also appealed to lawmakers to continue to endow the commission with the power to choose the type of technology to deploy during elections. Professor Mahmoud made a call at the opening of a two-day retreat of the Joint Senate and House Committee on Electoral Reforms here in Abuja.
I want to assure you that in a proactive manner, the Commission has been studying aspects of the amendment bill even before it's finalized by the National Assembly and assented to by the President. And we have identified areas that require formulation of regulations and guidelines, as well as the review of prescribed forms for implementation. This will enable the Commission to test run procedures and pilot innovations ahead of the 2023 general election. The speedy passage of the bill will be in the best interest of our electoral process. There are extensive provisions in the current bill that require clarity, and INEC must rise to the occasion to provide guidance. With only 484 days to the 2023 general election, time is of the essence. As you finalize on the electoral amendment bill, I urge you to continue to endow the Commission with power to determine what technology to deploy in our elections at the appropriate time.
I always think it's important to provide options, but the National Assembly, in its wisdom, has decided to go on direct primaries. But again, the implementation of this, or successful implementation of this, will depend on one key thing, which is the issue of internal democracy within parties. So the issue at the end of the day is not whether it is direct or indirect primaries. It is whether there is internal democracy with parties. Is it possible for parties to respect their own rules? If they can't, then it wouldn't even matter at the end of the day whether it's direct or indirect primaries. So I think that what the parties need to work on is how to define their rules, to respect their rules, and to implement their rules. That way the complaints will be limited.
All right, then, everyone, let's begin. The People's Democratic Party Convention Screening Committee has submitted its report, where it disqualified 3 contestants for taking the party to court at some point. The 3 disqualified aspirants are Mr. Okemo Aro, who was to contest for the office of National Secretary of the party, then Edi Olafesore, who was also Olafesore Eniola, who was to contest for the slot of the National Publicity Secretary, as well as Professor Adewale Oladipo, who is to contest for the Deputy National Chairman South position. 27 contestants have now been declared to participate in the forthcoming National Convention slated for the 31st of October, with one of the aspirants dropping out of the race. The Chairman, Convention Organizing Committee, Governor Amadou Vintiri, stated this at the unveiling ceremony of the PDP convention logo at the party's headquarters in Abuja.
The screening committee has just completed and submitted their report to us this afternoon, and they've done a wonderful job. 31 candidates have indicated interest to contest for all the positions across from the national chairman to the last position. 27 of them have been cleared, 1 has withdrawn, and 3 have been disqualified. And so, if they have any reason not to agree with why they have been disqualified, this party is very democratic. They have the opportunity tomorrow to appear before the appeal committee. All these have been disqualified for reason that they took the party to court, and their intention also in the court was to stop the national convention. So if you have taken the party to court without exhausting the internal mechanism of settling whatever grievances you have, and you try to stop the convention, the committee felt you cannot also enjoy from the convention.
All right, that is the chairman of the PDP National Convention Planning Committee. But the man that has been treating the books and working on some of the details of the convention joins us now. The governor of Oyo State and then, the secretary of the PDP National Convention Planning Committee, Governor Seyi Makinde, joins us on the program tonight. Thank you, Excellency, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Shil.
Appreciate
for having me.
Let's look at the direct implications of some of what has been done. 3 people have been disqualified, 1 person dropped out. I thought that the party had pardoned people in the past for similar offenses. Why did you take that stern move this time around?
Well, you know, at some point, you have to draw the line. Yes, if people have been doing things in the past and they've been, you know, getting away with it, you know, there has to be a point where the party will have to say, look, enough of this. You have the internal mechanism of the party, you know, to settle any issues that you may have. And besides, all of this, what exactly are we trying to do? We're trying to send a message to Nigerians. We're going towards the general elections for 2023, and we need to let Nigerians know that this is a party that you know, will stand for discipline. This is a party that will stand for unity. This is a party that Nigerians should look up to, you know, whenever they're thinking of how to fix the problems that we're in. And we can't do that in an atmosphere of impunity, in an atmosphere where, you know, you want to eat your cake and have it at the same time.
The reason why I asked that question is also because your party is looking at a reconciliation. And I'm very certain that you're on that table discussing the National Convention because you want it to be successful. So what it then will, the import of some of this decision is that as though some people have been vilified. For example, I know some of the supporters of some of these people that are disqualified. For example, some of them are being backed by former Governor Fayose. It will look as though there is an attack on some of the members of the party.
No, why do you need to single out Governor Fayose?
No, because I know
he wants to be
no,
attacked.
I know that, but because I interviewed him before,
yeah,
and you seem not to have agreed on a lot of things.
No, we've put all of that behind us. That was before the PDP zonal Congress. The zonal Congress, you know, we're done with the zonal Congress.
So you're back as friends now?
It has come and gone, yeah.
I'm
going to be at Governor Fayose's son's wedding on Saturday. You know, so you see, we have done certain things, and we expect that Nigerians will take adequate notice of those things that we've done. This is the first time in the history of this party and in the history of political parties in Nigeria, where we're going into an elective convention, and out of 21 positions to be contested for, I think as of today, 15 or 16, have been settled through consensus. Even the national chairmanship position. So we need to tell Nigerians that first, we are disciplined, and secondly, this is a party that is ready to unify this country. What more can we prove?
Does consensus actually signify unity?
Yeah, it signifies, yes.
Because some politicians see it as imposition, because they believe that stakeholders are not properly brought to the table when you're discussing consensus.
Well, we did. Stakeholders, okay. My question to you is, did we stop people from, going ahead to obtain nomination forms? No, we did not. But if all the various stakeholders across the geopolitical zones in this country, if they are coming together and saying that, look, one of the basic problems, that we have to face, that we have to fix from 2023 moving forward is the issue of unity in this country. We have never been this divided, since I became an adult and I started following things in this country. So it is a big thing that we have to fix. And if we as a party, if we're demonstrating that, yes, we can come together, we can settle our issues without, going to the field to slug it out. And again, we're passing a message. I mean, look at the ruling party. In my state, in Oyo State, they've not even been able to do their Congress, the state Congress. Across the country, out of 36 states, they have close to, I think, 57 chairmen that emerged.
There was a parallel Congress in the PDP, the Congress I held over the weekend, the last weekend in your state.
Well, I can tell you, Sheon, that that is the figment of the imagination of people.
But we covered it. We saw some of those who were not happy. They held it at a different venue as opposed to where you were, sir.
Well, there is a process. The party appointed, the party at the national level, they appointed a committee to come and conduct the Congress. They chose a venue. If you're a good party person, you should go to that venue. Yes, we may have a disagreement, we may have issues to trash out, because that is what politics is all about. But if you then decide that you're going to somewhere else, maybe at the corner of your room, why should we recognize that?
So, I mean...
So, you were properly notified that PDP will hold its Congress in Oyo State at a particular venue, and then the committee led by the governor of Enugu State, he was in there and he went to the venue. Why will you go and cover?
No, because what happens when you see parallel conduct? It shows disunity. It shows disharmony. It shows that things are not right.
Well, it shows. In Yoruba, they will always say that, if you see a house that is stable, then maybe the bastard in that house is yet to rear its head. So it means that, there are some, why not calling people bastards, literally. What it means is some people who, through, maybe reasons that are best known to them, they've taken a decision not to follow the rules and the process, laid out by the party.
Okay. For the National Convention, are you thinking or have you thought about the possibility of any surprises that might spring up? Plans to scuttle the convention?
Well, the people that were disqualified, as you just mentioned their name, they were disqualified for that same reason. They went to court. They tried to get an injunction, against the party, stopping the party from conducting the National Convention. They were going to get an ex parte order. And the judge refused and said, no, you need to put the party on notice so that they can come and properly defend themselves. And once that came out, then they then decided that, well, okay, let's forget about this. Now we're going to participate in the process. And now you want to benefit from that same process that you try to stop. So that is similar to you wanting to eat your cake and at the same time have it.
Is a party worried about the possibility of Prince Uche Secondus trying to pursue the case in court ahead of the convention? Because there's a possibility that it comes up before the 31st. Well,
this is a democratic party. We believe in the judiciary, and by all means, he can, go ahead with his case. But we have mechanism internally, for the party to resolve issues within ourselves. So, I still believe that that mechanism is still...
is it being spoken to? Is there kind of dialogue with Prince Uche Secondus?
Yes, we do have. We have about 15 subcommittees under the National Convention Organizing Committee, and one of those committees is contact and mobilization, whereby selected elders of the party have been saddled with the responsibility of reaching out one-on-one to major stakeholders in the party. And I believe Prince Uche Secondus is a major stakeholder in the party, and they will reach out to him.
Are you and your colleagues pressurizing him? I mean, the governor's pressurizing him to drop the case in court. Because these are some of the issues that have been reported. You are putting pressure on him to withdraw the case from court.
No, we can't put pressure on him. I mean, I laugh when people say, oh, this governor or that governor, is being influenced by these other people. I mean, these are adults. These are leaders in their own right. When you are leading a state, it doesn't happen just, like that. No, you must have gone through a process. You must have been scrutinized by people, by your state, by people of your state, before you're deemed to be fit to occupy the state of the position of a state governor.
Have you personally spoken with Prince Uche Secondus?
Well, I've not on this recent...
Okay, but I mean on this matter, on reconciliation, because the allegations for some members of your party is that he wasn't fairly treated.
Well, this is somebody that at the inception of a party of this Fourth Republic, he was the chairman of the party in Rivers State. Then he moved from Rivers State to come to the national. He was national organizing secretary of the party. He was deputy national chairman. He was the acting chairman, and he was the national chairman. I mean, I would think he has benefited so much from the party, and the least we expect is for him to really give back to the party and be a stabilizer for the party.
If you were treated in the same manner, if you were in his shoes, what would you do?
I will listen to a voice of a reason. Because...
You think he didn't listen?
Well, I think we got into a situation where, the atmosphere became polluted. And once you have a polluted atmosphere, then people are not able to really see things clearly. But having said this, why are we, coming before the people of Nigeria to say, give PDP, a chance to lead this nation again? The reason we're doing that is because we are clearing the organ stable within the PDP. We're trying to have a party that is nimble, that the party that is listening to the voice of people of Nigeria.
I'm going to ask Your Excellency, if there is, because Governor Wike is your colleague, is your friend, if there is a moment where himself and Prince Uche Secondus, because it's been reported that they fell out, if there is a moment where they start on the same table to resolve some of these differences?
Well, Governor Wike and Prince Secondus, they are, from Rivers State, and they are illustrious sons of that state. if they have any issue that is local, then they should resolve it locally. They have elders, they have leaders in Rivers State. So I don't understand why, people will take, local issue and then make it a national issue.
But it became a national issue. It
Well,
affected your party.
it's because, certain people that are benefiting from those confusion, they really want to stay out there and keep benefiting from that confusion. And I make bold to say that given the situation in this country today, the only way that you can stop PDP from attaining power at the federal level is by dividing PDP internally. Once we have that cohesion, and all the governors of the PDP, we are well aware of this fact, and we made unity within ourselves, our number one priority. Because once the governors of PDP are able to, move in one direction, we are aligned on most of the issues, the challenges that we're faced with, I think there's hope for this country.
I mean, that is if some of you have not left, because it's been rumored that you are planning to go to the APC. Is that true?
Well, maybe in the imagination, it's the figment of imagination of the people are saying that.
But is it something that you're considering?
What's chasing me from the PDP? And APC is a party that since its inception, they have not been able to put together an ordinary board of trustees. So, I mean, if in Yoruba they will say that if I want to give you a dress to wear, you first of all must look at what kind of dress am I wearing. If I'm wearing rag and then I tell you, oh, Sheil, I'm going to give you a designer dress to wear, then you should be wearing. You should ask me, where am I going to get it from?
You think some of your colleagues who left the PDP to APC made a mistake?
I believe some of them made a very serious mistake. Again, politics and democracy and political party administration, they are all linked to choices. If your choice is you want to go to where, I don't want to use the word of my friend Governor Wike, if you want to live where they're treating malaria, to where they want to go and treat cancer, yeah, it's a choice. You allow the people to
so
to
you
go.
will never go to the APC, that's what you're saying?
There's no point at all. And I will say it. A few of my colleagues said it, like Governor of Zamfara, he said, well, I read it. He didn't say it to me, but I read it. I said, oh, if I go to APC, God should punish him, I think with the dynamics, with what we can see today, the hope of this nation is a unified PDP to provide leadership for this country.
I'm going to ask you two direct and personal questions. The first being that, do you have a vice presidential ambition?
No.
And you don't want to be president too?
No.
Do you think...
Okay, let me explain something, Shem. Let me explain something. People, they easily forget how we got to where we are right now. For this republic, there has been President Obasanjo, President Yaradua, President Goodluck Jonathan, and now President Buhari. All of them, if you look at them, they were called. Some people, some stakeholders got together and they said, look, at this particular time, this is who we really want to use. In 2011, President Buhari, he cried on national TV and said, look, I'm done with this. I'm never going to contest again. But by 2015, some stakeholders got together and they went to him. And he became the president. President Obasanjo, he was just still coming out of his experience from his incarceration. He wasn't even there when PDP was being formed. when they were meeting the idea, but it was released and stakeholders.
Governor, I'd like you to pause for a moment because we need to take a break. When we come back, I'll allow you to wrap up on your thoughts and give your final thoughts on some of the issues. We take a break, and when we return, the closing moment with Governor Seyi Makinde, and of course, Valentine Ozigbo, the PDP governorship candidate in Anambra State, will also join us, and we get his reactions to the Supreme Court victory. That's in a moment, everyone. Trying to see. For your time tonight. So you were going to tell us whether or not you will take up the task, should it come to you, to be a vice president, candidate of your party, or even a presidential candidate. Why not?
Well, thank you, Shay. Even when I went to some people and I said, look, I'd like to be the governor, of your state, they asked me, immediately I mentioned, I'd like to be the governor. They said, which Rotary district, are you talking about? So
they underrated you.
The issue right now is that our party, PDP, we have eminently qualified personalities that can lead this country and lead this country successfully. Some have indicated interest, like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, like Governor Tambua, like Governor Bala Mohammed. They've indicated interest. And also others are being asked if do the same question. But the bottom line is we haven't gotten to that bridge. When we get to that bridge, we definitely will cross it. What is important at this stage, and which I will solicit the support of PDP party members and also the generality of Nigerians, is please support us to have a successful national convention. There's no way you can become anything, president, vice president, even governors, if we don't have a party. So what we want to do first is ensure that we get things right.
But if it comes to you, it's something you will take, would you?
The stakeholders will have to decide.
No, but I mean, I'm asking because you're sitting governor first time, and you will be seeking re-election in 2023.
Why are you sure I'll be seeking re-election in 2023?
Oh, don't you want to?
Well, see, Oyo State people will decide. Now I have a mandate. We're just 2.5 years into that mandate. And what I want to do is, if people of Oyo State, by the end of our 3rd year, if they think we've performed very well and they want us back, we will consider it.
Do you think you have done enough for them?
It's still work in progress. I think so far, so good.
You're on track?
Very much on track.
Your promises, I mean, because that's not the focus tonight, so I don't want to go into it.
Yeah, well, I can.
You can tell the people of your state that you have done enough based on the promises you made to them.
Yes, I have. We have done enough. The team, myself and the team, we've done very much for the people of your state. But it is not time for us to bring forward our report card.
You're saying there about the half mark.
Exactly. So this is like you're just coming back from a second.
You're an engineer, so you probably are just, are you at the lintel level?
At this stage?
In your construction, in the first term.
Well, in engineering, there's really what we call the law of thermodynamics.
Okay.
Yeah? And it's very simple. You can still just interpret it literally. First, it says you cannot win. If you cannot win, you can get a draw. So you can play within that envelope and say, well, if I'm not winning, I can get a draw. If you push the envelope, you get to a point where you will always lose. And then, if you're not satisfied and you want to push the envelope, you get to a zone where you may even break into pieces.
So, at some point, because the way you're talking now, Governor Makinde, it does look to me that you might want to go national other than staying as a governor.
Well, you're the one putting these words out here.
Well, it's a pleasure talking to you. We will be looking out for the National Convention and see how all that plays out. And hopefully you'll be able to unite your party. But fundamentally, Do you think you can beat APC in 2023 in the national election?
Well, it's a question that I know Nigerians will answer, and they will answer decisively. It happened to me in Oyo State. When I contested to be the governor, PDP were not at the local level, we were not at the state level, we were not at the federal level, and we didn't have the police, we didn't have the security agencies, but we had the people of Oyo State. They stood with us, and in the history of the state, you know, we defeated my opponent with over 154,000 votes. So, for us, we know the things that we're supposed to do. Unify our base, get all the stakeholders together. Yeah, there will be people that will be aggrieved and all of those. We'll still appeal to them, bring them back, let them have a stake in what we're doing, and Nigerians will settle the score.
Governor Seyi Makinde, Governor of Oyo State and the Secretary of the PDP National Convention Committee, has been speaking with us. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir.
We'll flip the page now. We'll move to our second matter for discussion tonight. The Supreme Court in Abuja declared Mr. Valentine Ozigbo the authentic candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the November 6 governorship election in Anambra State. Well, in the judgment, a panel of justices led by Justice Inyang Okoro threw out the suit challenging Ozigbo's candidacy and awarded the sum of $5 million as damages against Senator Ugochukwu Ubah. The panel also affirmed the decision of the Court of Appeal, Awka Division, delivered on the 3rd of September, which declared Ozigbo the authentic governorship candidate of the PDP. Mr. Ozigbo was present at the Supreme Court premises along with former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, and Senate Minority Leader, Senator Enyinaya Abaribe. And who won in the court today is won twice. Whether or not, as he enters the race, if there is any luck on his side in the main battle, Mr. Valentine Ozigbo, the candidate of the PDP, joins us now. Thank you so much, Mr. Ozigbo.
Thank you, Sharon.
And I guess the congratulations in order.
Very much.
It's not easy to climb from the Court of Lower Jurisdiction to the Supreme Court and win. How does that feel?
Actually, fantastic. You know, for me, it's not just a victory for Valentine, it's a victory for PDP, it's a victory for Anambra people. We are shifting away from the dysfunctional past. If you look at the people who we're contending with, I will say to you, they've contended with what we consider the right things. And I thank God that not just that we got that victory, but you also needed to see the landmark achievements we're making. The appeal court, you needed to see the president of the Court of Appeal affirming and basically warning, you know, councils to desist from creating distractions. And in the appeal court, in the Supreme Court today, you also needed to see the presiding justice again frowning at how people see precedents have already been established over and over and yet you keep bringing frivolities. And in the world, something that was done, you could consider a naming ceremony is what they're using to distract people. Look at how much time we've lost. We should have spent this time engaging our people at the grassroots. But I thank God finally it's over. You know, with this, I think there's no other place to go to. There
are other cases around. This is just one of the cases that went to the Supreme Court.
There are actually two today. There were actually two that were handled concurrently at the Supreme Court level. So at this point, there's no other existing case at the Supreme Court.
Okay, so let's now look at your campaign now. The question is that, what are you telling the people of Anambra State? What are you bringing to the table?
I say a number of things to them. Number one, please look out for content of character. Look out for competence, capacity, compassion. Look for someone with enough dose of emotional intelligence. Look for somebody who you can simply describe as a good man, somebody accessible, somebody who can listen, somebody who is humble. Content of character is something we miss out all the time. Forget about who gives you more money. Forget about who has done some little favors for you or somebody considered a philanthropist. Forget about, look for these sort of things, soft issues, so important. Because when you get that right, you are getting the leadership question solved. And second part, look out for the party. There must be party that your people accept, that you feel can give the right identity, protect our people, that can give you the spread so that our people can actually aspire even further. Unfortunately, among the three major parties, APC isn't that party. It's obvious that they're not on ground in Anambra State. At the same time, APGA is losing ground massively. As a matter of fact, APGA can take us anywhere beyond just Anambra State. So if, for instance, we're looking to have a Southeast or anybody becoming a president of Nigeria, APGA is not an option. And therefore, among the three major parties, PDP is actually that party that ticks all the boxes. And number three, also look at how people emerge. I keep emphasizing, you don't just, even if you're a good man, coming out of a right party, or you emerge through a wrong process, where your hands are already tied, or where you've been taken to shrine and done such nasty things, you know what? You're not going to be able to achieve the
You are not able to go to the shrine.
How can?
Or are there situations where people go to the shrine?
They won't even summon the courage to approach me on that.
So it is true what they say too. I mean, because
some people do all that kind
they
of
go
thing.
Fetish to get into power.
It is not just in Anambra. Politics is. This is why people usually consider it dirty. But we're here to prove a point that no, actually, it's such an important business. Only 10 people should be allowed to play it going forward. And this is why I'm happy that we're succeeding. Because what this is going to do is open up to professionals and clean-minded people to come into politics. But before you go to another question, there's also the last part of what I'm telling them, which is the promise. What are they coming to do? What am I coming to do for the Anambra? And this is where we actually evolve our manifesto, the things, the promises, the sectors that are important, the clusters that are important, the partnership we need to foster. How do we fix the roads? How do we fix educational institutions? How do we fix power? How do we fix any one of these major things, especially insecurity? Look at how Anambra has turned out to now, the bad news all the time. How do we fix that going forward? So these are the promises that I will bring to the table, and thankfully, momentum is building to a level that it looks like it's going to be a home run.
I'm going to be very specific and direct in some of the areas that you have mentioned, of economy, human capital development, yes, and of course security of the yes, people and industrialization. Yes. These are critical. I mean, from my findings about the Anambra State, this is a very germane issue that the people are looking forward to. The question is that, what are your plans in that respect? But I'll come to that just in a moment. First and foremost, let me get your reaction to what the NSA said today after the meeting with the president. The service chiefs met, and they were talking about the security situation in Anambra State, how non-state actors seem to have taken charge in terms of directing and dictating how things flow. Sit at home and everybody sit at home. What's your reaction to what the federal government said today, that they are going to bombard Anambra State in such a way that they hold on to it in such a way these non-state actors will not be able to perform?
You know, I feel pained that we characterize Anambra in this form. This is a state that, if you look back, have always been the pride of this nation. That's why we call ourselves the light of the nation. What we're seeing here is failure of leadership. And leadership orchestrated over a period of time. When you have a sense of hopelessness, all manner of criminality abound. This is what I'm saying. Why do people agitate? They agitate because the older generation haven't done well enough. And this is why I'm happy we're also discussing this when we're marking first anniversary of NSAS. There's a lot of them we need to end, not just SARS. Bad leadership is one of it. When you see people getting unconventional, taking to the streets, agitating, because I always want to go back to the root cause of whatever is happening. But that said, I also want to advise, the only way we can solve a problem is that you find a leader who the younger generation will find inspirational. I can tell you, once they see the right person that can give them that sense of hope when they know there's somewhere they're headed to, that if I go to school and I come out, there's job waiting. That if I run my business and my environment is competitive, and there's something they know that they can become, self-independent and self-sufficient. That if I also go to school, I am certain the quality of education I'm getting. If I am sick, there's a hospital that can take care of me. If you have that human capital index properly covered, I can tell you half of the criminality we're talking about will disappear. Then, about what the NSA is saying, obviously, this election period, there's need for everybody to ensure that there's safety of life and property. And so it is actually expected, even when security issue isn't this rife, usually, massive deployment of security forces happen. It happens. It has happened in all the other states that conducted elections recently. So it's expected. What I want to tell my people is, it's okay. It's okay to welcome the security forces, but it's also okay to ensure that, we will need to raise our voices when we see anything going wrong. I am hoping also the civil society will be there to shout if anything untoward begins to happen. But for now, let's take things positively and move on. And I say this because it's so important for them not to live in fear, not to feel intimidated. I want them to come out so that the will of the people will suffer.
So it brings me to the question, how are you going to handle, should you be the governor, handle the situation of IPOB?
For me, I already started by sharing with you, if you become an inspirational transformation leader, which is what I'm hoping to become, first and foremost, they will know that I have not been the problem of the past. They will see me as a solution provider. They are going to be willing to give me what we call a holiday period to see how and then I will start from day one to show evidence that we are turning things around. We will begin to take things, first 100 days, first 180 days, and they'll see that we are making progress. I can tell you, nobody in the right sense will see that we are on the upward trajectory and they start to create the mayhem. No, they will shift to other places. That's number one. Number two, we're also not going to tolerate criminality. We're going to show force. We're going to show that indeed we're doing enough. And so if there's still some elements of people who, I'm not generally talking about IPOB now, I'm talking about criminality. There's still elements of people who are creating havoc within the society. Make sure we investigate, make sure we have the right intelligence, make sure we punish detractors. But for IPOB in particular, I feel the agitation is founded on the paucity of leadership over the period of time. And I think that it is important that we begin to sensitize our people that we can actually still function within Nigeria if we begin to show proper leadership. It is when I believe that there's nothing good that can ever come out anymore. And you know why that's happening? Because all leaders have failed in the past, especially the current one. So, and the failure of leadership, especially even at the center, we have really, really failed this country. When do we do the things that can help us catch up with the rest of the world? I am here because I am also uncomfortable with the status quo. I'm here because I feel there are a number of things we can do to change that story. And they will see me as that authentic voice for an Igbo man and woman that can help in shaping our things and identity within the country of Nigeria.
Let me hit one or two issues within the frame of time that we have left. First and foremost is the doing business in Anambra State, the economy of Anambra State. There is an airport in Anambra State, which we understand that is partly cargo, partly passenger. You like that idea? Is it a good idea for you as a businessman?
For me, I am happy that we do have an infrastructure airport, but I feel that what the current governor has done with such paucity in judgment call, to have abandoned governance just because you're acting on one project isn't the way to govern. In Nigeria, nothing you can be proud of at this point in time. No roads, insecurity. I mean, look at what we've been talking about. There's nothing to be proud of. That man selling akara, that man in Ose Market, that man in Ochanja, may have nothing to do with the airport. But that said, what I intend to do is to maximize the use for that airport. I want to see how we can leverage the cargo and make logistics simpler, and make Anambra more competitive, because indeed, it's also in an area I intend to build what I call agricultural processing ecosystem.
Because I was going to ask you,
yes,
the yam, palm product, rice, maize, cassava, these are citrus products.
Yes.
These are things that are synonymous to Anambra State.
Correct.
But I'm not sure how much of that is being maximized. In specific term, how would you do it?
See, for me, I've always told my people, you don't make enough money from peasant farming. Just go to the farm, harvest, and sell. We've got to move on to where we process, where we store, where we market, or we export. How do I do that? I want to unleash the power of the private sector. I want to create a right ecosystem, enabling environment, and actually follow through. If it means a PPP, I will do so. If it means we set up a consortium where the state government has a little share, but put the private sector on the driving
seat. You don't have the blueprint yet?
It's all started. As a matter of fact, if you look at manifesto, the idea, the how is all developed. But you need to get on board, especially within the period of transition between November 7, by the grace of God, I'm declared governor-elect, and March 17. We will fine-tune this because we need to be mindful that here I am thinking maybe we have debt of maybe 130 billion naira, maybe it has gotten up to 200 billion. It's important we do a deep dive into the capacity of the state to do certain things. So we begin to scale things in phases that are feasible.
I have two quick questions, which within the next 60 seconds or thereabout, I'm told I have left. The first being, Anambra State, out of the 5 states of the South, is perhaps as the largest or the most, the largest commercial hubs. You have Nnewi, you have Onitsha.
Yes.
The question is that those commercial hubs have potentials to do more.
Yes.
Do you have specific plans for them?
Oh, yes. Again, I am Onitsha is a ghost of itself. It's not functional the way it should be. We intend to fix the infrastructure there. We actually, ultimately, will start the process for developing port systems around. We want to have Anambra people import things with less hassle so that the harassment they suffer will go down. We want to also treat little issues like the toutish harassment you see people face, multiple taxation people face, undocumented, and we want where people can feel that they live like where human beings cohabit, and not where things are done haphazardly. So we want to create systems that work, from water to power to gas infrastructure, and with this, Onitsha shall become more competitive. And the same thing in Nnewi you mentioned. We intend to situate our industrial hub there. The number of things we feel we can do. When you cluster things, you actually enjoy economies of scale. Costs will go down, Anambra becomes more competitive, and people become more prosperous.
All right, we need to close now, and this is a direct question.
Yes.
How many jobs do you hope to provide or to create within the first 100 days should you be elected?
100 days, you can only provide government-based jobs. So for that, we can be targeting about 20,000 jobs. But the type of number I'm looking to attract is what we can do by making private sector more comfortable. It's actually not government that provides the most of jobs. It's actually the private sector. It's the big companies and the SMEs. And to get things done in that manner, there's not much you can do within the first 100 days. So we're talking about achieving up to 1 million jobs in the next 4 years. And we have phases in achieving that. And also taking our GDP and revenue to a level that Anambra can become really, really more comfortable.
Mr. Valentine Ozigbo, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. And I wanted to say thank you again. Congratulations again for the victory today, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you
so much, Mr. Ozigbo. Well, that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Seyi Makinde.